Today, we will talk about those who are close to all of our hearts, our children. I'm sure that you, dear parents, greatly love and appreciate your children. What a privilege it is to have them. Think about it. There are millions of angels. However, angels were not given the privilege to produce children. When Jesus was on earth, he was not married, so he did not have the privilege of having children. But you parents have that privilege. What a treasure! What does the governing body want to tell you children? That we love you. We are so happy to have you with us, and we would like to help you to become and remain worshippers of Jehovah. You are like a beautiful gift, a special gift from Jehovah. Christian parents value and appreciate you children more than $1 million. How do we know? Because Psalm 127, verse 3, says that children are an inheritance from Jehovah. What does that mean? An inheritance is a very valuable gift that has been given to someone. Often the gift is from an older family relative. Jehovah views you children as a very valuable gift that he has given to your parents. He expects parents to take good care of this gift. He entrusts parents with the welfare and happiness of their children. And when parents do their best for you, it especially makes us happy when you children do your best to please and serve Jehovah.
So right off the bat, we can see where this is going. This is going to be a talk about children, specifically about the need to indoctrinate children, to make sure that children are raised to be Jehovah's Witnesses. This is going to be a recurring theme in the April broadcast. And there were a few things in what Gerrit said there that just made my blood boil. First of all, that part about the angels and about how having children is such a privilege.
There are millions of angels. However, angels were not given the privilege to produce children. When Jesus was on earth, he was not married, so he did not have the privilege of having children. But you parents have that privilege. What a treasure!
Gerrit Lösch is saying this as someone who has chosen not to have children because he's prioritized a career in the Jehovah's Witness religion. Probably if he wasn't so obsessed with the religion and with making his way up the ladder of hierarchy, probably he would have had children at some point. Who knows? But the point is, many Jehovah's Witnesses go without children because, number one, they think we're in the last of the last days. And who wants to bring up children when the world is deteriorating and the world is becoming more and more influenced by Satan and Armageddon's just round the corner? Wouldn't it be better to wait until we're in paradise when it's safe so that then we can have children? And then you have situations where couples forego having children even though they would like to have children because they want to serve Jehovah in some way. They want to serve the organization either as, I don't know, circuit overseers, Bethelites, missionaries, you name it. Talking about having children in terms of it being a privilege is going to be very upsetting for many men and women watching who went without having children when they ordinarily would have liked to have had children, only to later discover that their sacrifice was futile because they were in a cult. And that's before we even talk about those who would like to have the privilege of having children, but can't for medical reasons. So many believing Jehovah's Witnesses watching this will be hearing about how children are a huge privilege, and even the angels and Jesus couldn't have children, but you parents can. You parents have got the privilege. And if you are unable to have children for medical reasons, how are you going to feel listening to what Gerrit Lösch is saying here? You're going to be thinking, well, for some reason, I am not worthy of this privilege. It's incredibly tone-deaf language to be using about having children, but I'm barely beginning on this, and there will be so much to say about the talk that Gerrit is giving here. He also talks about how much the governing body loves children.
What does the governing body want to tell you, children? That we love you. We are so happy to have you with us, and we would like to help you to become and remain worshippers of Jehovah.
Well, two things there, Gerrit. First of all, you've got a funny way of showing children how much you love them when you put them in harm's way routinely, when you perpetuate and enact policies that make it possible for child abusers to go unpunished so that they can go on and amass more victims, more child victims who are being scarred for the rest of their lives because of what's being done to them by individuals whose details you are keeping on a secret database. And this isn't some conspiracy, by the way. This is all documented in the organization's own materials. They acknowledge in their guidance to elders and in their guidance to branch offices that they keep these records, including records on child abusers. They don't share these records automatically with the police. And this means that because the police are kept out of the loop, more children can be abused. And here you have Gerrit Lösch, the longest serving governing body member, who incidentally refused to attend a lawsuit where he was subpoenaed, claiming, what did he claim now? Claiming that he had nothing to do with Watchtower. Allow me to read part of his statement to the Superior Court of the State of California. We see there, under points 8 and 9, I am not and never have been a corporate officer, director, managing agent, member, or employee of Watchtower. I do not direct and have never directed the day-to-day operations of Watchtower. I do not answer to Watchtower. I do not have and never have had any authority as an individual to make or determine corporate policy for Watchtower or any department of Watchtower. Watchtower does not have and never has had any authority over me. That's what Gerrit Lösch said. In fact, we'll just show there the signature at the bottom so that you can see that he actually signed this. These were the cowardly, weaseling words of Gerrit Lösch in trying to get out of being made to appear before a court on a very, very serious matter involving the cover-up of child sexual abuse. I mean, think about those verses in the Bible about, being willing to give an answer to those who require one from you, and being called before kings and judges. And Gerrit Lösch, a governing body member, weaseled his way out by denying having any connection with Watchtower, denying directing it in any way, even though he's the longest serving governing body member. I mean, you could say that there were technicalities there, or he was, shall we say, splitting hairs with the exact terminology he was using. But let's face it, he was being very dishonest in his statement. And yet he has the gall in the latest JW Broadcasting episode to say, oh, we love children. We just love them so much. We put them in a situation where they can be abused by keeping the details of known abusers from the authorities, but we love them. And the reason why they love children is because children can become Jehovah's Witnesses, as he said there.
And we would like to help you to become and remain worshippers of Jehovah.
Yes, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's not about them as people. It's not about them as vulnerable ones who need to be protected, who need to be allowed to grow and develop in a safe environment. It's all about this production line of drones who can follow and serve the governing body. Gerrit Lösch is only interested in children insofar as children can become Jehovah's Witnesses. Let's face it, if a child does not become one of Jehovah's Witnesses, of what interest are they to Gerrit Lösch? They're going to get destroyed at Armageddon. So he's not remotely interested in children who refuse to follow him or accept his authority, or refuse to follow a path that leads to them as adults doing that. He is only interested in children for entirely selfish reasons. And then we get to this point about children being a gift.
Jehovah views you children as a very valuable gift that he has given to your parents. He expects parents to take good care of this gift. He entrusts parents with the welfare and happiness of their children.
This is the narrative that is repeatedly drilled into Jehovah's Witness parents and children. When a child is born, it's not that a new person has entered the world who can learn to think for themselves and follow their own path. What's happened here is two people, the two parents, have received a gift, or as it's put there, an inheritance. They have received an inheritance from God. So straight away, there's some kind of transaction taking place here. It's not just that a child has been born, a transaction has been made, so that there are expectations. I am giving you this gift, this inheritance, and it's not so much that you can do what you want with it. It's kind of a bit more like a loan. You're supposed to raise this child to serve and worship me. That's basically what Jehovah is supposedly telling parents. It's not the parent's child, or the child is not the parent's child. The child belongs to Jehovah. So the expectation is that parents absolutely must raise their child to be Jehovah's Witnesses. That's the only acceptable outcome whenever a child is born. So we're only a couple of minutes in to this speech by Gerrit Lösch, and already we're seeing, number one, the hypocrisy, in this vow of love for children. But number two, how tone deaf the organization is with regards to people who can't have children for whatever reason. And number three, how controlling the organization is in demanding that when children are born to Jehovah's Witnesses, they are raised as believers.